Rudy Goresh. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Devils After Dark, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Disregard that lower third. It says American whiskey. Forgot about that. And cross to the midway section of the United States in Chicago, Illinois. It is Vinnie Parise of pucksandpitchforks.com. Also hockey news, amongst others, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, on the Let's Go Devils Network, as the Devils burned up the Leafs 5-2. It's hard. It's really hard when you're not grammatically correct with your team name. I don't even know. Is that good grammar? I don't know. We should ask Nick Villano.
There really is no good grammar when talking about it. Like, you kind of pointed out to me, I never even really realized it when I was a kid watching the Toronto Maple Leafs and all that. But yeah, it makes no sense realistically. But what does make sense is the New Jersey Devils really turning it on and finding a way to have a pretty convincing win over what is considered to be one of the top teams in the NHL. Yeah,
and also Scotty's on assignment tonight. A little scheduling snafu at SiriusXM. We'll just blame them for the scheduling snafu because we've had this schedule on the docket for the last 4 months. So, it's just one of those things. But we have the great Vinnie Parise doing Devils After Dark with me. And, I think we should look at the YouTube Live. It's getting crazy. All the comments. Like Tom,
people love winning. People love winning.
I know.
Sam, we did this the 21-22 season. People hate losing. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But people love winning. 5-1-0. It feels good. It feels real good. Best start in my Devils watching adult life, I'll say.
Really? Well, very interesting. All right. I'm just trying to get... See, filling in for Scotty is tough because we're not normally used to this. He just does all the work. So I can kind of appreciate what Scotty does. So normally Scotty would, do the monologue. So we're going to do something different. Just something different. We're going to try an experiment. We've done it before, but we're going to try this experiment. You and I, Vinny, we've never done this before. We're going to do Scotty's monologue. And I'm going to, there's the music. All right. Is it Rogers Center? What do they call that dump?
I think it's Rogers Center, and then the Jays are Rogers Place or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Eastern Canada.
Yeah, I don't.
Unless you go way east, then everything's Bell.
Yeah,
it goes Bell, and then it's Rogers, and then in Vancouver, it's like I forget what it is in Vancouver.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's hit the highlights. This is what Robert Isaacson's saying in the YouTube live chat. All right. So we're going up to Toronto after the Blue Jays have clinched a spot in the World Series. But it's Devils, Maple Leafs, both teams coming in with winning records. Devils 4-1. I don't care what Toronto was. It was a 3-2. It doesn't matter. 3-2-1. Doesn't even matter now. We're at, let's say, Rogers Arena. I don't even know what they call. I can't keep up with these names. But in the first period, Devils were they definitely had a half a step, Vinny, in that first period. I mean, they were, I thought, dominating, but just not on the scoreboard.
They did. They dominated the game. They had a lot of the chances, and then John Tavares sniped one out of midair. Maybe he's doing his best Vladimir Guerrero Jr. impression, his best George Springer impression with them in the World Series, hitting one out of midair into the net. It was a home run for the Leafs, and they took a 1-0 lead.
A 1-0 lead. Tavares' fourth of the season from Ekman Larson and William Nylander. So they get on the board, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I wasn't panicking because I thought Jake Allen, his first initial save was great, but it's that rebound in midair. You can't really control that. Was it above the crossbar? You know that Sheldon Keefe and the staff were looking at that, but great call by not replaying that because that was definitely a good goal. 1-0 Leafs. And that's how it would end. 1-0 Leafs going into intermission. Toronto Maple Leafs having the momentum, feeling good. You got the vibe from the crowd after the Blue Jays. Again, the night before, it was electric. When they beat the Seattle Mariners, they carried that in kind of, you could kind of tell when the Maple Leafs had that 1-0 lead. But after intermission, I don't know what happened in the locker room, Vinny. I don't know what happened in the locker room. But the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Hughes, went to work. And in 1:27 into the second period, Jack Hughes scores his 4th goal of the season. He's heating up. Bratt and Pesci with the assists. Sweet goal it was.
Jack Hughes was dancing around the zone. He made a great play that kind of kept the puck alive in the zone. Otherwise, the Leafs would have been going the other way. And he found Brett Pesci, who saw Jesper Bratt kind of behind the net in the corner. And he's like, oh, Jesper Bratt, he's going to do something special with the puck every time he touches it. So then he gets it to Bratt, who makes a beautiful dish. Back to Jack, who originally started the play in the top of the middle of the ice, top of the offensive zone. And then Jack does what he does. He walks in kind of slowly, skate left, shoot right. Devils tie the game 1-1.
All right, so I'm not like Scotty and taking notes. I didn't take any notes. But the Devils get a power play. They get a power. Why don't you explain this one?
New Jersey Devils, they get a power play, and it is right now the hottest power play in the National. They have the best power play percentage in the NHL, and that was after being a little cold in the first couple of games of the season. You weren't worried. I wasn't worried. When you have all these offensive players like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, Dougie Hamilton, you know the power play is eventually going to click, but on this particular power play, the first unit wasn't able to get it done. They had Dawson Mercer back on the top unit in place of Timo Meier. So Timo Meier's out there on the second unit. And guess what? Lo and behold, the second unit finds a way to score. Timo Meier throws the puck in front of the net after Luke Hughes feeds him for a nice one-timer. And who's there to sweep it in front of the net? Besides Cody Glass, who sweeps it in. Power play goal, 2-1 Devils.
2-1 Devils. Cody Glass's second goal of the season. Hey, there is no such thing as bottom six. The Devils are getting contributions from everybody. We talk about downtown Connor Brown to start the season, balanced scoring. Timo Meier, Luke Hughes getting in the mix. Again, 2-1 Devils. And then the unlikely scorer, kind of like Ken Danico back in the day. About a minute and a half later, Dylan, you son of a bitch. Brendan Dillon, first goal of the season. When was the last time he had a goal? Scores one. Glendening from Glendening and Gritsik.
Gritsuk creates the rush. They come in a 3-on, or it became a 4-on-1 when Dylan joined the play. It's what started as a 3-on-1, and then here comes Dylan. You got Gritsuk. He finds Luke Glendening, who makes the smart pass to Brendan Dillon, and you normally don't get what they called, when they call the third forward in, that's F3. They got an F4 in there with the defenseman joining in on the rush, and a defensive defenseman as is. You get it to Brendan Dillon, you realize how good offensively defensive defensemen are when they have time and space, and that's what happens with Brendan Dillon. He absolutely snipes it. It's another point for Gritsuk. It's a reward for Luke Glendening, who had a masterpiece of a game as a bottom six center, and it's 3-1 Devils from that point on. It felt like they had a real good chance to hang on and win the game.
But they are the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they strike back about 2 minutes later. 7:03 in the second period. I think his name is Matthias Macelli. Is that how you pronounce it?
Matthias Macelli is how I've heard it, but you could be right.
It could be, you know what? It's the bifocals, it's the glasses that screwed up my eyes. I'll blame the eye doctor on that one. Nylander and Tavares chipping in, and it's now 3-2 Devils. Do you blame Allen on that one? Not really.
I do not, because
it was,
yes, you don't want Jake Allen coming out as far as he did, And I would like to see Dylan, who had just scored a goal a little bit earlier, be a little bit tighter on the back check. But you got players as super skilled as John Tavares and William Nylander. They're going to make plays, and William Nylander made a brilliant pass that led to the stick of Macias Michelli, who banked it into a wide open net.
So 3-2 Devils, gap down to 1 goal. But the man, the myth, the legend, the first overall pick in the 2019 NHL entry draft, Jack Hughes, second goal of the game, 5th of the season, Brat and Nemec.
I believe Jack Hughes grew up a Maple Leafs fan growing up in Toronto. He's an American-born, but he spent a lot of time up north in Toronto. And he finds himself on a little mini breakaway, and he does not miss. It is a slap shot goal. You normally don't see Jack Hughes wind up for a slap shot. When he first started to do it, I'm like, what are you doing? You have one of the best wristers and snappers in the National Hockey League, but he blasts it by Anthony Stolarz, and you're really thinking Jack Hughes is on fire today. This is one of his games. He's an offensive contributor at just about every game he plays, but in this one he really had his legs going, and it was evident on this goal to make it 4-2 New Jersey.
And 4-2 New Jersey it is, going into the second intermission. Man, I'll tell you, you and I were texting during the game. That had to feel good. Now you're 4-1 at that point. You're looking ahead, but again, the theme of this season, and I've talked about this on the Morning Woo, don't be too optimistic, but don't be too pessimistic. Just be hopeful. I was definitely hopeful in that second intermission. 4-2 lead in Toronto. Big third period coming up.
When you have a period like that where you get 10 players on the roster to get themselves on the score sheet in just one period and end up with a 4-2 lead after trailing 1-0 after the first, there's no reason not to feel confident. The Devils so far this season have shown that when they get leads, they can keep them. They've got a lot more experience than they once did. It's not really that young team anymore that people were worried about blowing leads late in the game. That happens, but I do believe that when you come into your own a little bit as a man, as a National Hockey League player, you start to learn how to play the game the right way. So going into the third period, I chose to believe they would find a way to play the game the right way.
And also, let's not forget the kind of beefalytics that we love. In the second period, Cody Glass and Max Domi getting into it just a little bit, both getting roughing calls, 2 minutes each. But Devils overall, and fuego. Going into the third period, well, it was back and forth. I mean, you look at the score sheet. There was only one goal in the third period, but man, was that back and forth hockey exciting.
It really was. It's the makings of two teams who believe they have a chance to make deep playoff runs. Lots of star power all over the place. 3 or 4 guys on each team who could either win a Selke Trophy, win a Hart Trophy, have 90-plus points, have 30-plus goals, and it was just, a fitness test between two teams that have a lot to play for even this early in the season.
And the Jersey kid, Anthony Stolarz, got lit up. But towards the end of the third period, Toronto with the power play and pulling the goaltender, Devils defense clamping it down. We talk about defense. Look, a sign of a great team. I'm not talking about good team. I'm talking about a great team, Vinnie Parise, is when you can shut down the opponent when you're 1 man down, 2 man down, even 3 guys down if need be. I had all the confidence in the world. Jake the Snake Allen stood on his head and just was absolutely amazing.
He sure was. And you think of a team like the Devils, they're coming into this game on a 4-game winning streak. They've beaten the Lightning, who have won 2 of the last 4 Stanley Cups. You think of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who had 2 fewer points than the New Jersey Devils last season, coming into this year with all sorts of vibes. I'm pretty sure they're smoking the Dallas Stars right now. Then they beat the Florida Panthers, who have won the last 2 Stanley Cups. And then they beat the Edmonton Oilers, who have won the last 2 Western Conference titles and been the Stanley Cup final runner-up 2 years in a row. And now you're coming in to play the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have had one of the best regular season records in the last 5 years combined. So, yes, that is the sign of a great team finding a way to go out there into the third period and have a chance to win the hockey game.
And towards the end of the game, net empty. And who scores the empty netter for the hat trick? Number 86, Jack Hughes. Bam! With from the pass, I think from Jesper Bratt, his 3rd assist of the game. Jack Hughes with the hat trick. Devils winning 5-2. Get 2 solid points. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they get nothing. They lose. Good day, sir. Devils with 35 shots on goal to Toronto's 25. So is what the great Scotty Asiris XM says. It was raining bugs on the Devils on the ice. Whatever he says. Also, block shots. Devils had the edge 17-16. Hits. Toronto had the edge 22-21, pretty much even, like the block shots. Face-offs. Toronto had the edge 28-27. Again, even. But it comes down to special teams, Vinnie Parise. Power play, Devils 1 for 2. The Toronto Maple Leafs 0 for 2. And that was one of the biggest differences of this game. Penalties, 11 minutes each. An evenly matched teams going at it in the Eastern Conference. This could be the preview of the Eastern Conference Finals. It could be. It might be. It may happen.
It very well may. They now have top 10, top 7 in power play and penalty kill. It's one of the best special teams units overall in the National Hockey League. It's no surprise that 5 wins in a row have come as a result of the way that they've played. They are now 5-1-0, and they lead the Metropolitan Division. They have the tiebreaker over the Carolina Hurricanes. It is not head-to-head, the tiebreaker in the National Hockey League. Tiebreaker is regulation wins. So that belongs to the New Jersey Devils. They're currently in first place, Metro Division. Penguins also have 10. I don't really see their run of dominance lasting very long based on their roster. It's a nice start, but I do believe the Devils are already in a good spot. We've talked about it on the show, banking points early, where if you go on a little bit of a skid in January, February, March, you have some of those points banked already, and it's about going into the playoffs feeling well at that point. But for now, everyone looks healthy. Everyone's contributing. 10 players on the team had at least 1 point. Nico Hischier was not one of them, and he has a lot of points all the time. So the fact that they were able to do it with him mostly focusing on the matchup game, because when you play a team like the Leafs, you have one of Tavares or Matthews on the ice at all times, just very similar to the way teams have to defend when they play the Devils. You know one of Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier are going to be on the ice at pretty much 50% of the time. So you go out there, you find a way to win the hockey game with all hands on deck. Jake Allen played super well, and you're now 5-1-0.
And the Devils have 10 solid points. 10 solid points. These regulation wins are everything, especially when it gets tight in March and April when you're trying to get that playoff positioning. Did you predict this? I don't think any of us predicted that the Devils would be out to a 5-1 start. And let me remind you about that Carolina game, the season opener. The game was tied late in the third period.
They had a chance to win that game.
They had the chance. They had a chance to at least get a point in that game.
Yes.
And that's
absolutely
how dangerous the New Jersey Devils are. Hey, Vinny, I got to tell you, that was the first time we ever did a game recap like that. We've never brought. That was pretty cool.
I like doing it.
Yeah.
I like doing it. I could break down film all day.
Yeah,
I literally live for that.
If we,
it goes my family, my friends breaking down hockey. Like that was awesome. I loved that. I loved that so much.
Yeah, and by the way, if we had that if we actually had media, rights to at least to the audio version of it.
Mhm.
I mean, we do the football calls, obviously, just because we don't have, that, but for doing it the first time, Vinny, I thought that was really good. But I see a lot of chatter in the YouTube live. I'm also going to X. You can find us on X at Let's Go Devils Pod. You can find Vinny on X at Vinnie Parise. You can find me on X at Primetime Sam Wu. You can find us on our Facebook page at Let's Go Devils Podcast and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Devils and Twitch. Durango Steve is the only, viewer on Twitch. He'll make some wise-ass comment, but nobody actually watches it. But we're on Twitch at Let's Go Devils Podcast. All right, so let's see what you think about this game. Devils 5-1, 10 solid points, atop of the Metropolitan Division, and it's October 21st. October 21st. If you were to tell us that the Devils would be 5-1 halfway through October, the portion of October of the regular season, I wouldn't believe it. Because
I don't know if I would have either, because you looked at the schedule. Okay, you start with Carolina. Raleigh has been the house of horror for New Jersey for the last, 3 years now? They've lost 11 straight there. I don't even know how many years that goes back. That probably goes back like 4 years. It's just not been a place that's been kind to the Devils. Similar, I remember when the Pittsburgh Penguins were on their run of dominance, when they had Phil Kessel and obviously Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. They hated playing the Devils. The Devils were trash. They were winning lotteries and being one of the worst teams in the league every single year. But for some reason, they couldn't go into New Jersey and win. The only difference is Carolina's actually a really good team, and it's really hard to go in there and win for New Jersey for whatever reason. Once they get over that hump, I'll believe there's no situation that they can't win. And you looked at the schedule. I saw some people saying after that Carolina loss, are the Devils going to win a game in October? Because you looked up and you saw Tampa and Columbus and Edmonton and Florida and, Toronto and, tomorrow's Minnesota, who's a really good team with high-end talent at the top of their lineup with, Zeev Buyam and Brock Faber and Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy and, Marco Rossi. The Wild rock, man. They're good. It's going to be a hard game. And, you see teams like that and you're like, oh boy, this could get ugly really quick if things don't. And not only did they beat these teams, most of them they smoked. They beat the Blue Jackets 2-1, I think. They never really looked like they were going to lose to the Lightning at any point in that game. I didn't for once think they were going to lose to Edmonton once they went up 1-0. There was never a point. Tonight, being down 1-0 to the Leafs, you don't win 5 in a row too often. Anything could happen here. And then when they got out to that 3-1 lead, I'm like, I didn't necessarily think this game was over, but I'm like, the Devils really, really have a good chance here to keep this momentum going. And now when they go to play the Wild tomorrow, it's a back-to-back situation. They're probably in all likelihood going to have Nico Dawes in net, which is going to be a little bit different of a scenario than having Jake Allen. Jake Allen's a lot more seasoned. He's been in the NHL for a long time. We'll see how that game goes, but the Wild have a lot to play for too. They're not perfect. They lose games. Yesterday I was watching them. Who are they playing yesterday? They play a style of game that I think the Devils could probably take advantage of. Oh, it was the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
They went down 1-0 in the first minute of the game. It was the first goal that the Rangers have scored at home this season. People went crazy for it, Panarin. And then the Wild kind of took over and ended up winning the game 3-1. So they've found ways to win. They've also found ways to lose. The Flyers beat them in overtime a couple nights before that on Saturday. Washington absolutely smoked them 5-1. So we'll see how the Devils are able to play against them, but so far the signs are that this team is really solid and have a chance to be a special team. And then it is twofold, like I said, because they've had hot Octobers in recent years, hot Octobers and Novembers. And really 2022-2023 is the only year that they truly kept it through the whole year. I mean, last year the Devils, they ended up making it to the playoffs, obviously, and, were one of the top 3 teams in the Metropolitan Division. But once Jack went down, things kind of went south. They weren't playing. I think they were 2-8 going into the playoffs. they clinched because they had built such a decent lead. This year, you got to keep the grind going all season long. You can't stop at Christmas. You need to stay healthy. Everybody needs to contribute all year long. So better to start like this, though. It's better to be them than how the Rangers have started, or how even Florida has started, or Boston, one of these teams trying to compete this year. Better to be where the Devils are.
Yeah. By the way, thank you, Max. He texted me. It's Scotiabank Arena. It's changed. I believe it used to be Rogers. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So it always changes. Either way, it was in Toronto. Thank you for the super chat, Brendan. 5-1 and a win for Keith. Woo! That's a great message to the league. Stay healthy. Super chat for Palat jersey stitched. Yeah, they still want Palat out. I thought, actually, believe it or not, all joking aside, I thought Palat had a great game. I'm glad he didn't get in the way. I'm glad he didn't get in the way of that one puck going into the net, if you remember. But if I remember correctly, did Palat draw a power play, a penalty because of that? Yeah. So his trade market value has gone up for that. Anyway, just jokes.
And you heard Dano talk during the broadcast too. I think it was Dano. It was either Dano or Bryce, but I'm pretty sure it was Dano. He does things that don't necessarily show up on the score sheet just by being a veteran presence. Is there any doubt that Andre Palat has lost a step and he's not the player that he was when he was winning Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning? Of course not. Did the Devils overreact and pay him a lot of money when they didn't get, rest his soul, Johnny Gaudreau on July 1st that one year? Yeah, they pivoted and went to Andre Palat immediately after, and they probably overpaid him a little bit. It hasn't been great. They probably wouldn't do it again, but there was that play. He won a 50-50 board battle against Austin Matthews, who clearly would have had a 3-on-2 going the other way. And you know what Austin Matthews can do when he has time and space? I mean, the guy had 69 goals. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. I think he's actually on pace to break Ovechkin's record. Do I think he's going to? He's not as healthy as Ovechkin was at this point in his career, over a period of time. But he's an elite player. And Palat kept that from happening. And you never know what happens if Matthews takes that puck down, scores, how the game is different. Little things like that do help teams win hockey games. And if they do make it to the playoffs, having him on a third or fourth line wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I think most fans are just, if his AAV was 2.5 or 3, I would say even 4. Fine.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Absolutely.
But it's the amount of years, and it's at that 6 mark, and whatever. But there are intangibles that you don't see, because remember, Nico Hischier was a very young captain when he inherited the captaincy of this team before Palat got there. Just having his presence, his experience. I remember reading up a lot of Amanda Stein's articles that coaches would ask Palat, well, what'd you guys do in Tampa? What'd you guys do in Tampa? What, different scenarios and all that. So again, is it worth $6 million? Probably not, but we can't just say it's a complete loss of cap space. Palat is, a role player on this team. I remember when the Boston Bruins years ago overpaid for Martin Lapointe to be, or when the Rangers overpaid Bobby Holik to be a third-line center. Sometimes you need those players, and at the time, the Devils needed that player. So what's done is done. Will he still be with the team? Who knows? But as long as Palat is not a liability defensively, he will be fine. I don't have any problems. And speaking of defense, that penalty kill is lights out. It is absolutely lights out. Because even when they get through, the goaltending has been there so far this young season.
Yeah, I like what I see from the penalty kill. They do it the way you have to in the modern day National Hockey League. It's not all about putting your third line out there with your bottom pair D and your second pair D with your fourth line over and over. It's okay to put out, because I remember Tortorella got smoked for putting the Sedins on the penalty kill when he was with Vancouver. Well, they don't have to like stand out there and put their face in front of shots on the penalty kill. There's a way about getting the stars out there on the penalty kill where they don't have to get hurt. They can play a certain way, use their speed, tenacity, skill to, it's not always even about creating shorthanded chances either. Yes, Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, as long as they're playing that second wave of the penalty kill, they're going to get a chance here and there. They'll probably end the season with 2 or 3 shorthanded goals each. But, that's not what it's all about. Sometimes using that skill and speed to just break the puck out, find a way to dump it or hang on to the puck, kill time. Having skill isn't always about putting the puck in the back of the net either. And you see what Nico Hischier can do when he's out there killing penalties. And having Luke Glendening, to me, has been the key up front. You got Dougie Hamilton, who always knows what to do. Luke Hughes is getting time. His speed and tenacity and, his hockey brain, I think, can help him kill penalties over time. And then you got guys you would expect to kill penalties, even in the old school way, like Brennan Dillon or Luke Glendening or, name bottom 6 forward Palat. And then you got to get good goaltending. At the end of the day, the other team, especially a team that does have a Matthews, or you played against McDavid the game before, you've played against Fantilli, you've played against Kucherov so far, those guys are going to get their chances on the power play no matter how good of a job killing you do. Got to have a goaltender that can make the saves, and Allen and Markstrom have done that so far.
Yeah, let's go to the YouTube Live. A lot of chatter. Wimpy was saying, and thank you for the super chat before, Wimpy. We harp on Palat too much. He's expendable, but not a problem, meaning Palat. Couldn't agree with you more. Brendan Warner saying, thank you, Brad Shaw. What a difference a new voice in the locker room, assistant coach Brad Shaw is making. The defense looks healthy. Like, they look a well-oiled machine. And one of the things that I'm finding defensively with the team, their skating and positioning is so effortless right now. If you notice, they don't look like they're in a panic mode trying to catch up with the opposition. They look like they are confident, they're communicating, and they just know where each player is out on the ice defensively, and they look calm out there, just calm. Like you're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, for crying out loud, with all that firepower. I know that they don't have Mitch Marner anymore, but they've got a tremendous amount of firepower, and to take a 5-2 victory in Toronto and shut down their penalty kill on top of it, it just speaks like this is what we've been waiting for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Waiting for it for a very long time is exactly. I mean, think of what had to happen to get to where they are today. You were terrible in 16-17. You win the draft lottery, you get Hischier. In 18, you make the playoffs with Taylor Hall. That gets Bratt, and getting Bratt in the 6th round, that's a Ray Shero masterclass. R.I.P. Ray Shero, we miss you. In 19, you get Jack Hughes. It turns out to be this great draft. You also got Zetterlund in that year. That helped you get Meyer, also with Mohamed Doolin. Dawson Mercer, you draft him in the 1st round. Alexander Holtz didn't really turn out to be anything for them, but they got Paul Cotter out of it. You take Luke Hughes 4th overall in 21. You sign Doug Hamilton to the big ticket, the one-off season. Just a lot of different shrewd moves have come through. They've done a good job developing some of these top stars. Nobody outside of Holtz has really been a bust, right? Like, there's not, I don't know. We'll see. I guess they
Chase
probably
Stillman?
would I was going to say they would probably redo the Stillman pick. I still, Arthur Saliev, I hope he turns into something sweet, the guy they took this last or 2 drafts ago.
Yeah.
I was all in on Zeev Buium, and now he's a star for the Minnesota Wild. I don't know if I'll ever get over that one, but we'll see over time. But I don't know. I really like the way they've built it up, and I could see this lasting for a while. As long as everybody stays healthy, sticks to the plan. Keith's done a good job with the system. They can score, man.
Yeah.
They know how to score in bunches. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Just reading a lot of comments. Cram One Arts, and not to mention Stolarz, was playing pretty unbelievably in the first period. No panic from the Devils. You know, they threw a lot at them in the first period. The score was 1-0 Leafs, but the Devils seemed to be the better team. Real quiet confidence from the Devils this year from Cram One Art. Agreed. Just no panic.
Yeah. In previous years, you've heard the term getting goalied. That's been a common thing around the New Jersey Devils parts. They have gotten goalied in recent years. That wasn't anything that wasn't true. They're playing, every goalie in the NHL is really good. It's just a matter of how developed you are, where your confidence level is, if you can keep going while you're getting goalied.
Yeah.
And it seems like this Devils team, if they get goalied for a period, they're not giving up. They're not stopping. They're not changing anything they're doing. They realized at the end of the first period, and I'm sure Keith had a lot to do with this, hey, if you keep playing the way you did in that first period, you'll come out of it winning more often than not. And I do believe that you're not always going to be winning. You are going to get goalied. Someone's going to shut you down. You're going to lose a game 1-0 this season that you outshoot them 40-20. That will happen. That is the NHL. It's about how you recover from that, how you keep sticking to what makes you successful. What makes the Devils successful is speed and skill. Whenever they try to fight their way into anything that's going on, it never works. They kind of did exactly what me and you used to make fun of the Rangers for, Sam. Remember when the Rangers got all hurt over Ryan, or no, it wasn't Ryan Reeves. They went out and got Ryan Reeves in response to Tom Wilson. The Devils kind of did that with Matt Rempe. They kind of overreacted and felt like they needed to get some, beef. And we like certain kinds of beef, but going out and trading for McDermott to try to cancel off Rempe, that was dumb. You can use your speed and skill. The Rangers won't even dress him if you don't put in a guy like McDermott. He's a health bomb against the Devils in those instances. So I didn't love that. It seems like they kind of are over that mentality, and they are just using lots of speed and skill, and that's their game. You have Jack Hughes, you have Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier. They're all in their mid-20s. Go try to win a cup playing fast. That's today's NHL. You saw it from Florida. You saw it from the Edmonton Oilers. Toronto's been real good in recent years. What made the Bruins fall off? The Bruins aren't the team they were 3 years ago. Why? Because they're not fast. They're super slow. They can't keep up. And, until they get faster, until they insert a James Higgins or one of these other young bucks that they've drafted in recent years, it's going to be more of the same. So, speed.
Sherry Radway chiming in. I was close. I said 6-2, LOL. See, Leafs suck. This game should get their fans start to figure that out. Yeah, predictions. Max got the prediction correct.
He said 5-2.
He said 5-2. I said 6-4. I was not off by too much.
No,
but if it wasn't for Jake
all.
Allen, and Stolarz, it could have easily been 6-4 game. Let's see what else. Let's see. They had a streak where they had held the 20 under 20 cards. Anyway, I'm just reading some comments right now. But overall, Vinny, 5-1. Now you've got the Minnesota Wild, second half of back-to-back at Prudential Center, and you're putting Nico Dawes in net. I'm not concerned because Nico Dawes has been there before. It's not like Nico Dawes 4 years ago where the Devils were down 9 goalies and they had no choice but to put them in. And again, I'm exaggerating the number, but I think there was 1 year where they had 9 different goaltenders. Am I correct?
I think it was 7, and that was NHL history. History. Can you name them all?
Let's see. Mackenzie Blackwood.
Mackenzie Blackwood for sure.
Definitely
Bernier? Scott Wedgwood.
Was Jonathan Bernier?
Yes. Jonathan Bernier, absolutely. That was the game that Jack Hughes won it in overtime and threw his stick over. Bernier definitely played in that game.
Okay, so Corey Crawford was not in this era. So
Corey Crawford never played a game for the Devils.
oh yeah, that's right. He wouldn't have counted anyway.
He got to training camp and saw that 20-year-old Nico Hischier was their best player and said, "You know what, guys? Screw you. I'm going home."
Yeah.
God, that's funny.
Gillies. John Gillies?
Gillies, yep. John Gillies. John Gillies.
Yeah, John Gillies.
I think Mike is his father.
Yeah. Was Wedgwood on that team?
Yeah, we got Blackwood, Wedgwood.
We kicked
Gillies,
off Wedgwood for no reason.
Bernier. Yeah, Wedgwood becoming a star, too,
yeah.
now, which is crazy. And Blackwood, too. Blackwood might play on Team Canada.
Yeah. Then there's that guy with the nice pads. Crap. What's his name? It's a very simple name. Eric
Comrie.
Eric Comrie. And then,
that's 5. I think I have 6. Was 6 the Hamburglar? John Hammond. Yeah, the Hamburglar. Yeah.
That was for really marketing purposes. It was for marketing purposes. I'm like, why are we getting the Hamburglar this late in the season?
I'll never forget when he was on the Senators and they went on that run to the playoffs and Lazar was on that team, the Senators.
Yeah.
And they beat the Bruins in the first round and he ate a McDonald's cheeseburger that was thrown on the ice mid-play. That was great. That was good stuff. I can't think of the 7th to save my life.
Oh, no. I know what it is. I have his name in my head. It's
I'm not looking at the chat. I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, it's like Lazard or no. What's that 7th one?
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Was it Nico Dawes?
Aaron. There's an Aaron something.
Oh man.
And I think Shorts guy has his pads, or he wanted his pads. Aaron starts with a D. Aaron, Schwammy, Samsonite. I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing. I was thinking like, oh my god, I couldn't. Yeah, I don't remember who the 7th was at all.
It's Aaron something. It's got to be Aaron. Not Aaron Asham. Stop
Aaron
it.
Asham.
Stop it.
When I think of Aaron Asham, I think of Philly, Pittsburgh in the first round, and Scott Hartnell and Aaron Asham going at it. There's Hulk Hogan in the the guy dressed up as Hulk Hogan behind the penalty box, and he's getting the crowd going. That was great. Oh, Aaron Asham.
No,
Devils.
Isn't Aaron something? I mean, there was Comrie, but there was another guy named Aaron Dell. That's it. Thank you.
Aaron Dell.
He
was on the Sharks.
Yeah.
He was on the Sharks. Yep. He was on the Sharks, and then he ended up with the Devils. Yep. That's right. Aaron Dell. Aaron Dell. He was the backup for who would have been the Sharks' number 1 when maybe I don't even remember during those final years with Thornton and Marlowe and that was the era. That was the era for sure.
And was there an e-bug in there? Was there an e-bug that year?
I remember when the Leafs lost to their own e-bug that worked for them.
That's one of the greatest stories in NHL history.
Oh, I'll never forget the Steve Dangle video. You lost to an emergency backup goalie who works for you. That was the best.
Oh, yeah. And then there was the legend of Eric Samborski. I was actually talking about it the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Down in Philadelphia.
Blackhawks legend. Yep.
Yeah, down in Philadelphia. And then there was I believe that he was there for a second time. And they tried to get him in the game, but the NHL's like, no, he's got to be injured, the primary goalie. So it kind of stuck. But they tried to sneak him in like with a minute and a half left. And I mean, just hearing those stories is just amazing. It's like 1 minute you're like, I don't know, cleaning the bathrooms, and then the next minute you're on literally the ice playing an NHL game. I mean,
but wait, there was another one too, though. The Hawks had 2. The Hawks had the one you just mentioned, the one who played in Philly, and then they actually had to use one of them in Winnipeg. And he won the game for them.
Yeah, Foster. Is it Foster?
Scott Foster.
Yes.
Scott Foster. Yes.
I remember the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks announcer was like, "On the save," just
Pat Foley.
Yeah.
He made like a save. He made a save on Mark Scheifele, who might go to the Hall of Fame to win the game.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
John
amazing.
or Scott Foster.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. And then of course, what's his name from Carolina playing for?
I forgot his name.
Or what's his name from the Leafs? Hold on.
I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. I forgot his name.
You know what? I think I am too. Friends with him. David Ayers.
Yeah, David Ayers.
That's what it is. David Ayers. Got to play for the Leafs for a night late in the season. Or got to play for the Canes for a night against the Leafs, even though he works for the team. He's their Zamboni driver, or was. Probably fired him right on the spot.
I'll tell you, my dream is to see Stanley Cup Finals Game 7. 2 goalies get hurt, and the E-Bug is in. Can you imagine that? Imagine
it's hard
that.
to and they find a way to score before the other team gets a chance on the E-Bug in net.
Yeah, like, can you imagine? It's a Hollywood scenario. There's a movie, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger that was in. It was like penalty, and then he was inserted as a goalie on a penalty shot, and there was a bomb in the. It was, I think he was a Pittsburgh Penguin in the movie, and then I forgot what it was called, Overtime, or I forgot.
I don't think I've seen this.
Oh,
sounds amazing.
It's early '90s, dude. Early '90s. I forgot what that movie was. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is it called The Running Man?
No.
No.
Or was it Jason Segel in that movie? Maybe it's not. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe it's Jason Segel. Or Claude Van Damme. Yeah, maybe Claude Van Damme. Thank you, Survey. Yeah, that was Van Damme. Sorry. It was one of, I can't remember. It was like 35 years ago.
Sudden Death.
Sudden Death. That's it. You got to watch that movie. It's so good, but it's so bad at the same time. It's kind of like Mystery Alaska. You know, in Mystery Alaska in the movie theaters, I was like booing the Rangers. And people were telling me to shut up.
That's funny. It's been a long time since I've seen Mystery Alaska. I should watch that with Katie sometime. It's been a long time since I've seen
It's a good movie.
It's great.
On your honeymoon, you should probably watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be down to watch a hockey movie about the Rangers. Yeah, 100%.
That goes to Alaska, and there's another, and one other time people were cheering was the movie Miracle in the movie theaters. That was actually actually appropriate. People were pumped like that. I remember when the trailers went out and Herb Brooks passed away, and then the trailers came out. You're like, it was like literally counting down to see that movie.
100%. Sam, it's funny though that you say that you were in a theater watching the Mystery Alaska and you cheered against the Rangers. I remember being a kid, and it wasn't in theaters. I was too young for that, I think, but Angels in the Outfield came out.
Oh, wow.
And they were in the pennant. The Angels were in the pennant, and all of a sudden Al and the Angels couldn't help anymore. You're not allowed to help in like championships or whatever. That's like one of heaven's rules or whatever. Well, they were playing the White Sox in the ALCS to win the pennant. And I remember being 5, 6, 7 years old, and I wanted the no Angels pitcher to give up a bomb and lose the game to the White Sox and have a terrible ending to the movie. I remember. And that's what I thought of when you talked about cheering against the Rangers while watching Mystery Alaska. That's so funny. But
yeah. And I was hoping they would lose too. That's the other thing. Like when you haven't seen the movie and you're in the movie theaters and you're being disruptive, it's normally I'm not disruptive in the movie theaters, but it's just it was Scotty. If Scotty listens to this podcast, when he talks about movies, like every movie that he mentions, I've never seen it, and now like you and I are talking about movies that we've all seen. Obviously, Happy Gilmore is one that's like kind of a hybrid of golf and a hockey, and and our very own beer baron was in Happy Gilmore too, just briefly for a split second.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was actually filmed in New Jersey. It was actually.
I knew that.
Yeah,
now that I knew.
Yeah, he waited in line. Got his picture. He did all that stuff. Wore his New Jersey Rock and Rollers jersey, the inline team, defunct inline team, where Menon Rayom. I was there for the first game. Menon Rayom started that game. Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get him to send me a screenshot or something of him in the movie. I want to see it. You brought up Miracle, Sam. It's an Olympic year. It's an Olympic year, man.
Oh.
I will be tuning into some Miracle action. I'll probably watch it 3 times between Christmas, because I won't. I'll wait till after Christmas. But between Christmas and the start of the Olympics, I think I'll watch it at least 3 times. I cannot wait.
Well, let me tell you something. Couple things. There's a couple thoughts here before we go. Survey says Miracle was even bigger because of the politics at the time, so makes me laugh sometimes when people keep it, put sports and all for entertainments. I was 2 years old when the United States ice hockey team, beat the Soviets. My mother says that because back then it was on replay, they tape delay.
Yeah, it was like 12 hours later.
Yeah,
that
she
the
said
US
that I
saw
was
the result.
actually on her lap. They watched the game because it was a big deal. I don't think for the younger generation, and I'm sort of the younger generation at the time during the Cold War. The Cold War was for real. I remember doing drills in class, being under the desk, not for an earthquake, but something like that happening, or we heard about it back in the 60s, all that. That was, the Soviets, that was because nuclear missiles were literally pointed at each other's countries, literally. And you had the Iranian hostages, all that kind of, stuff. And then you had this bunch of college kids and winning that gold medal, and they haven't done it since. And I always joke that Jim Craig is the best American goaltender ever, over Mike Richter and yada yada yada. But when I went to that Four Nations tournament with Mrs. Wu in that finals, I can't tell you, and I actually have a video of this, when they played Herb Brooks' speech with 8 minutes to go before the national anthem. They played Herb Brooks' speech, and they superimposed Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and the players instead of the actors in the movie. They put the actual players playing the team. The place went bananas. Plus, you had the Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey effect. You want to win one from it. I to this day is probably one of the greatest hockey games I have ever seen in my life. And to this day, I wish Team USA won because of Johnny Hockey. And it was in Boston. It would have meant a lot to a lot of people, but it did mean a lot to the Canadians. So, and it's probably one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
I still say, did I accidentally mute myself?
Oh, no. I lost you. No, it's on me. Keep talking.
Got it.
I can't hear you.
I still believe, after watching Team USA and Team Canada play in the Four Nations Face-Off Championship, I happen to have these very handy. I think that they were the 2 best games in terms of pure hockey watching that we've ever seen. The Four Nations Face-Off. The championship was the best hockey I've ever seen. It was fast, 4 lines, every player on the team's elite. The other game that was the Saturday before, where there were 3 fights in 9 minutes, or 3 fights and a goal in the first 9 minutes or whatever it was, that was incredible too. But that championship game where Connor McDavid won it in overtime, that was the greatest hockey game I've ever seen. It wasn't my favorite hockey game I've ever seen. That would probably be either the Henrique game, the Blackhawks Game 7 win over Detroit is up there for me. Loved that. The Bruins win over the Maple Leafs in Game 7 in 2013 is up there. But if you're just talking pure hockey, USA versus Canada gold medal game in the Four Nations face-off was incredible. And the fact that we'll probably get that again, hopefully, in the Olympics is very, very exciting. It's a lot different than the last time in 2014 in Sochi. It was a round-robin game between the U.S. and Canada, and I believe Jamie Benn's goal gave Canada a 1-0 victory, and for all intents and purposes, eliminated Team USA from having a chance to medal. So that was obviously really tough. But, you get into it now, and you look at what could be in the coming, months leading up to the Olympic Games in Milan. A lot of Devils. Could be a lot of Devils involved. Obviously, you think Jack Hughes will be, one of the catalysts of Team USA, especially with the way he's playing. He has a real good chance to go on and do special things there. Obviously, Bratt is going to be a contender for Team Sweden's best player. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. Markstrom will probably play for Team Sweden. We'll see if Luke Hughes has a chance to make the team. If any of the depth guys can play for their countries. Obviously, Team Switzerland is going to be the New Jersey Swiss with Siegenthaler and Heischer and Timo Meyer. So it's going to be amazing. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's game. Sam Wu has a little bit of an audio issue, so we're going to end it there. It's been a lot of fun doing Devils After Dark. Starting tomorrow, you'll get Scotty back, one of the great hosts on this network for Devils After Dark. And you could catch me, Sam Wu, and Shorts Guy on Game Day Live leading up to the New Jersey Devils game as they're going to be prepared to take on the Minnesota Wild and look for 6 straight wins. What a start to the season. Devils win 5-2 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as always, let's go Devils.